Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square with T-Square Talks. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday morning. I got a great video for you guys today. It was actually based off of a comment that came in earlier today on curious how it will affect basically silver and gold depending on who wins. And they thought that would make a great video. And as I got thinking about it, I said it would make a good video, I think, because here's the thing. There's a lot of uncertainties. And placing your bets now on silver for the uncertainty after the election and after it's announced who is going to be the next president, I think it's a good video to talk about. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please take a quick minute. Hit that thumbs up button. Help me out. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on what you think the election results are going to be and how you think it's going to affect silver. If you're new to the channel and you haven't hit that subscribe button and you're just checking out the channel and you really want to help me out, it really does help me out. If you're subscribed, you hit that bell for notifications and the thumbs up, and I try to read every single comment, so you're going to get a good, honest reply back out of me. And if you would like to become a member, it is only $1.99 to become a member, and every month we do a special event for members. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't announced exactly what the plan is for this month yet, but it should be coming. Something should be coming down the line. Whether it's going to be a football, whether it's going to be a bingo, I got to look and see exactly how many members we have, and then I usually go from there. So with that being said, let's jump into the video. So a lot of people wondering, depending on who wins, is it going to have a big effect on silver? So, I'm going to ask you a couple questions and hear your thoughts for a minute, and then you're going to get mine. So right off the bat, I got to say, if the Republican candidate comes in, is he going to keep printing money? If the Democrat candidate comes in, is she going to keep printing money? And you're probably saying right now, yes. No matter who comes in, they're going to probably keep printing money. And when you're buying silver or when you're holding silver, it goes up in price. It goes up in price the more money they print, because the less the money's worth. The more money they print, the less it's worth. It's simple supply and demand. And if they would all of a sudden cut the money supply in half overnight, then essentially that money would be a whole lot more valuable. It'd be harder for people to get. A lot of people owe dollars right now. And in order for them to get those dollars, they've got to do something. They've got to work. They've got to give up something to get those dollars to pay those bills. I really think we have done, as a country, an amazing job creating a demand for something, for the dollar. You look at how much they've printed, how much has been borrowed, how much has been loaned, how much is out there. And you think, that as of right now, you just go to work and you make some money and you keep paying down your bills. However, if they were to tighten up the money supply, essentially there wouldn't be enough for everybody to get paid. And that's why I think that looser policies are going to keep coming. Looser monetary policies, why they're going to print more money. And here's the thing, let's be honest. The Fed has loaned tons of money to different entities. A lot of people think, oh, they don't get involved. They don't buy securities and make a profit. No, they loan money to big banks, essentially big companies like BlackRock even. BlackRock has had huge amounts of loans and they're buying up the assets. I would almost rather the federal government would buy up these assets, because at least then when people are paying their bills, the federal government would get that interest. They would make that money instead of the big banks. Why we even use big banks, private banks, to handle a lot of this stuff is beyond me, and it's always been beyond me. That's one of the plans that if we ever got a good president in, a president that's going to make a difference, that would be the plan that I would focus on. A plan of cutting the banks out and taking control of our money. And you could still loan money. You could, all these employees, I mean, how many government employees do we have now anyway when you think about it? But can you imagine if all the people that are making their payments to these big banks were making their payments to the federal government? We wouldn't even probably need to charge taxes. Why? Because the amount of money would be coming in so plentiful. But unfortunately, in my opinion, no matter who we get in office, they're not going to do the right things. Will I say that I like a candidate over another one? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to get into politics and tell you his or her name. You guys probably already know I've gotten into politics plenty of times before. But the truth of the matter is, no matter who gets in, they're going to want interest rates lower. They're going to want to print more money. They're going to want their plans put in place. And yeah, I think one candidate is going to be better at bringing jobs back. I think one candidate is going to be better at maybe, I don't want to say helping the poorest of the poor, but I have a belief that, one candidate is helping the poorest of the poor, whether or not they're American or not, doesn't really matter. And I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with that. I'm just saying I will say that that's my thoughts. And as long as you have all these social programs, as long as you have all this spending, you naturally are going to increase the price of gold and silver. And the more we print and the lower we cut our interest rates, because the more we print, the more we owe. And the more we owe as a government, the lower we have to bring interest rates down. We can't afford to pay these bills with these interest rates. The current interest rate, the interest payments on what we owe, is the third biggest liability for the federal government. Obviously, Social Security is number one. I think defense was number two. And obviously, interest is number three. And once you realize that we can't pay the bill, all we can do is just keep paying the interest payment. We are at the point now where a person with bad credit is at. They're just making their minimum monthly payments. They know their debt's too high. They know they can't get out of the spiral that they're put in. And that's where we're at. But they also know that they can probably keep kicking the can down the road. For how long? Who knows? They're hoping that eventually money will just get more plentiful. They're hoping that it will get watered down and it will get easier to pay their bills. But with the interest rates as high as they are on credit cards, the average person will probably never get out of debt. Even if they make money more plentiful, the interest rates are choking a lot of people. When it comes to the government, the interest rates are choking the government too. Don't get me wrong. But they have the ability to drop the interest rates lower. But here's the thing. Now we're in a catch-22 because if we lower the interest rates, a lot of people don't want to keep loaning to us. Why? Because they can find better things to do with their money to put their money into something that's going to get them more than 5%. I mean, what are we at now? I mean, CDs at banks for individuals they were getting 5.5%. Now they're getting about 5%. There's a good chance in the next week or two we're going to see that come down again. And that's going to make even more people not want to put their money into anything relating to the Fed. They'd rather buy gold, they'd rather buy silver, they'd rather buy assets of value that are going to go up over time. Once you realize that, you realize the only place to put your money is gold and silver. And then when they start talking about these new plans, unrealized capital gains, it makes you realize I may not want all my assets in the system. Maybe gold and silver is the way to do. Maybe copper even. A lot of people laugh at people that stack copper pennies, but they may be getting the last laugh in the end. Because copper can keep going up with inflation. And I know some people will say, well, you can't melt down pennies. and sell it. And you're right, you can't right now. But at some point, they're going to discontinue the penny, because even zinc pennies are costing the government too much money, the mint too much money to make, to produce. I actually had someone send me some stuff about nickels, but I haven't been able to confirm. He told me that the mint has decided they're no longer going to make nickels. This is going to be the last year of the nickels, 2024. I have not been able to confirm that. I've been hearing they want to get rid of the penny forever. But as soon as I can confirm that, I'm going to realize right off the bat that that's putting us basically almost like in 1963 or 64, when we knew they were changing the metal in silver quarters, silver dimes, and they were going to make it out of another coin, out of another metal. People that were around back then, they recognized that, and they started saving them. They started separating them. If you were one of those people, you are very lucky. You've done very well for yourself. Unfortunately, I wasn't around back then. And even when I was a kid, I vaguely remember seeing once in a while in cash registers a silver coin or two. I remember seeing, getting a roll of $50 one time, and like more than half the roll was silver. But I didn't understand silver back then. I just knew, oh wow, Benjamin Franklin's Walking Liberties, those are different. They look different. So I put them up. I actually remember making a deal with my dad, and he bought them off me. He didn't even collect silver. He just knew they were worth a little something more than 50 cents. And so when I got an extra $5 or $10 or whatever for them, it was a good deal for me. Because I just looked at it like I'm a kid, you know. I would have had to spend them regardless. You know, over time, we've seen silver and gold go up. To think that anything different is going to happen anytime soon doesn't even add up to me. It doesn't even compute. We're going to continue on this track that we are on. I'm seeing more and more people right now selling precious metals. It kind of shocked me today how many people contacted me. 3 people in one day contacted me about getting some precious metals. That worries me a little. It worries me because it tells me that the economy is so tight right now, and there's so much uncertainty right now, that people are having to sell precious metals. The people that have been stacking. Now, someone might ask, I never get calls. You know, I've been talking with people for a long time about this. When I first started my channel, I wasn't even secretive in my area. I eventually stopped telling people locally that I do YouTube, because it's just different. It's different for a 40-year-old person to be making YouTube videos. That's something that you would think of for a kid. So that's why a lot of these people will call me. Hey, I remember you used to stack silver. You still buying any? I got some that I want to maybe get a little money for. You know, one of the deals today that I got offered was 15 ounces of silver for $500. That's $33.33. Now, that's about $1 over spot. That's pretty on par with the big companies. I know when I talked to him, I said, well, I really can't afford it right now. It didn't help that I was out of town. And so there really wasn't even an opportunity for me to meet up with him and negotiate with him. But when he looked, he said that, you know, he thought that it was $34 or $35 an ounce. And I said, and it was. Less than a week ago, we were at $35 an ounce. And even as early as, yesterday? Day before? We were at $34. It's a lot of uncertainty right now with the election coming up. People are getting worried about even the Fed meeting. Is the Fed going to cut interest rates? Here's the thing. Right now, they want to help the sitting administration. So it's pretty public that we're going to be cutting interest rates by another 0.25%. I kind of have wondered what happens after the election and it's set in stone on who the next winner is going to be. Is there still going to be a Fed rate cut? Or does it matter at that point? You know, as a civilian, as an individual, as an American, you probably want to see lower interest rates for the average person. Why? Because the average person has more debt. And lower interest rates makes it easier for that debt to get paid off. You might think, oh, I'm not borrowing money, so it doesn't affect me. It affects everything around you. It affects businesses. It affects the economy. Anything that the rich gets trickled down slowly to us, to the little people, so we can collect the crumbs. So if all of a sudden companies' money all of a sudden dries up because they can't borrow any more money, or interest rates go up and they've got to pay off some of their bills, so they decide, you know what, we got to cut back on production. In order to cut back on production, we're going to have to cut back on manpower. Cut back on manpower, it's going to cut down on pay. That cut back in people's pay is going to cut down on disposable income. That will basically slow down restaurants, small mom and pop businesses, even Walmart. All kinds of places will be affected. In short, silver is going to keep going up. Why? Because prices are going to keep going up. They're going to keep printing money. No one is going to take the right choice and say, we're going to pay off our bills, and once we pay off the bills, then we won't have the interest payment, and then we're going to be great again. I can't stress enough, I'm not basically backing any particular candidate in terms of on the video. I think that's the best way to say it. Here on the video, I don't get too much into politics anymore. But no matter who wins, we're probably going to print more money. I really had hoped that the budget, the deficit, was going to be a key topic for this election. It's interesting that neither candidate has really talked too much about it. No matter who comes in or stays in, we're still going to owe all that money. We can't afford to pay it. You can expect to see another government shutdown by the end of the year. It comes every year. And this year will be no different. Once they announce that will probably instill some more panic on gold and silver. That will help push it to the next level. Compound that with interest rate cuts, like more money printing, making the money worth less, putting more value on gold and silver. If a couple banks happen to collapse, that would definitely put a panic in to where people want gold and silver. A lot of people want it right now, but a lot of people are having to sell it right now because they need to make ends meet. Times are tough. Food's going up. Everything's going up in price. In fact, I would say if you're wise and you have any spare gas cans, I would get a little extra gas before Tuesday. Have a little extra on hand. If you've got a spot you can put some empty cans, fill them up, put them somewhere, maybe worth doing. I'm not saying necessarily try to fill your swimming pool, but a little bit ain't gonna hurt nothing. Same with propane. I had a yard sale not too long back, and it was funny because I have multiple propane tanks. I think I have like 12 propane tanks in my garage. I've told you guys before that I have a friend that does have a scrap metal yard, and I'll go out there, visit them, and look around and see if there's anything I need. Anytime I find propane tanks, them little 5-gallon ones that you might trade in at the grocery store, I always grab them. Hey, can I get these? Yeah, sure. They're gonna cut them in half and turn them in as scrap. They'll be lucky to get $1 at most. And I'll take it in, swap it out, get a nice one, fill it, have it filled, and I'm out $20. And I will use it. I have a gas grill. I love gas grill. I go out all the time, and it's easy for me to turn on the grill, throw a steak on, and that's my dinner. But I found it interesting. A lot of people bought my empty ones because here's the thing. When I get an empty one, I generally will just wait. I'll put it in my garage even though it's empty, instead of refilling it. I'm not the best at refilling them the second time. Why? Because I usually take in the ones that are kind of beat up, dirty, rusted, whatever, and get those swapped out. Even though there's nothing wrong with them cans. I swap those out first, and I keep the nicer ones because they're clean, they're nice, and I can just keep them under my workbench. Well, I had people ask me, how much you want for the gas can? The propane tanks. And I literally sold them all off. All my spares. I mean, I still got 4 full. And I said, it's okay, I'll find more and I'll swap them out and add them to the stack. But, now we're going into winter, who knows? But a lot of people I know, they like having extra propane tanks. Prices on everything is going to go up. Even prices on them propane tanks. Filling them propane tanks. Gold, silver, cotton, it's all going up in price. Food, whatever. Once you realize it doesn't matter who's in office, you're going to pay more. You understand. Now, will one person be a lot worse than the other? In my opinion, yeah, one person will potentially be a whole lot worse than the other. But that's for another video, probably on another channel. Needless to say, I can't stress that enough. One candidate, I don't believe anymore, is going to destroy the price of silver. Look at how the last 4 years did for our silver. I mean, look at how prices did in the last 4 years on everything. It all skyrocketed. So obviously, I would say that, the sitting administration will probably raise the price of silver maybe a little bit more. If I had to pick one of the two, I would say that one would. But it would be for a different reason. It would be because I feel that a lot more jobs are leaving the country. Tariffs, I mean, obviously one candidate has already made threats that if he is in, tariffs are going up to anybody that goes against the U.S. dollar. And I know by saying that I pretty well said who it is, because if I say he or she, those are the pronouns that I use. I'm just kidding. But obviously, I understand consumers pretty much pay those tariffs. When you go to the store, if they put a tariff on a car that you're buying, they don't eat that. Who do you think pays that? They pass it on to the consumer. Everything gets passed down. An old saying, I hate to say it, poo-poo runs downhill. I guess that's the best way to say it. And so don't bills. If the cost of something, maintenance, shipping, whatever, it all gets passed on. So once you realize that silver and gold are set to go a whole lot higher. Because the truth of the matter is, so many factors at play are going to drive the price of precious metals a whole lot higher. Whether it's uncertainty, whether it's economic, the economy slipping, whether it's tensions in the Middle East, Europe, Asia, anywhere. It could even be major disasters. I mean, look, we're already they're saying the desert out in the west United States is getting pounded with snow. It's kind of early to be getting pounded with snow, but it's happening. I mean, unfortunately, it's not cold here in South Texas. It's pretty hot here. I keep waiting for a cold front, but... So with that being said, I'm not convinced that it really matters who gets in office. The price of precious metals are going to go higher and higher. Pick up your silver and gold where you can. Take advantage of some of the deals that are coming through. Make smaller purchases. Make them more frequently. Why do I say smaller purchases? Because a lot of times when you go to the coin shop, they've got something that they're willing to get rid of at rock bottom prices just because they want to get rid of it. Even me, when I get stuff, sometimes I don't want to keep stuff that's beat up or whatever. What did I have over here? I'll say these 2 beat up ounces. I mean, they not something I like. I'll let them go cheap if I had to. I'll trade them for something. It's not something I want to keep. I don't like it. I prefer shiny ounces. So with that being said, you can pick up those deals here and there. Anytime you can get silver at spot, it's a great deal. Anything under spot is an even better deal. Start choosing your purchases wisely if you're running low on money like me. I'm starting to get tight. I've got to bring down the bar a little. I won't pay over spot unless it's something I really need now. Spot is the number that I am starting to target. And in some cases, a little under spot if they really need the money, or if I am really tight. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but, you know, I'm pretty well out of money for the month. I did get my money filled up again on the 1st. And you guys know I borrowed $1,500 a couple weeks ago. There goes half my money. And I bought some stuff that I got to pay on the 16th. So me buying stuff, I've got to be real picky on what I pick up. Obviously, picky does not mean pretty. It just means I need a good deal for me to want to pick up something, or I just wait until the good deals come up. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap the video up here, a little longer than I wanted. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you hit the thumbs up button. And I will talk to you guys again on T-Square Talk tomorrow. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. I love reading y'all's comments because it does give me ideas for future videos. Take care, everybody, and have a great day. And thank you all for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.